Hey everyone, Sol here. I have only one rule here. If it's animated, I'll comment on it. And you know, I've had a bit of a hard week since last week. I can't seem to get the image of my own clone being shot in the head out of my eyes. It's like it's burned into my retinas and oh shit. I can't keep doing this myself. I gotta think of something else. Anything else. That's better. Yes. Boobs! I like boobs. Nothing better to get my mind off of bad things than boobs. So, I think that's what we're gonna take a look at today. Boobs! What? No, you can't show boobs on YouTube. Well, okay then. I guess I'll just show you enough boobs so that I don't lose my monetization or get striked or whatever. So I think we'll take a look at a little anime series known as Dungeon ni Deai no Motomeru no wa Machigatteiru Darou ka, also known as Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Dungeon ni Deai wo Motomeru no wa Machigatteiru Darou ka, also known as DanMachi for short, began as a series of light novels written by Fujino Omori in 2013, which went on to be adapted into a manga series that same year, and then an anime series developed by JC Staff that aired on several different Japanese TV networks in 2015, with a total of 13 episodes spanning over one season. Alrighty, I got my fork, I got my knife, I'm all ready to dig into this hulking helping of heathen hooters known simply as DanMachi.
Bring it on!
Great, I was all excited to get into the buffet of bosoms, but it seems we got a bit of plot to go over first, so let's get that out of the way, shall we? In the fantasy land of Orario, Bel Cranel is a young adventurer who serves the Hestia Familia. Bel is the only member of the Hestia Familia, so he ventures out into the dark, dangerous dungeon nearly every day, trying to find valuables that drop from defeated monsters to help keep food on the table for himself and his goddess Hestia. But when Bel gets cornered by a high-level minotaur, he's saved by Eyes Wallenstein, a beautiful and skilled swordswoman of the Loki Familia. After their encounter, Bel falls head over heels for her and her extraordinary blandness, and makes it his mission to catch up to her in level and fight by her side. Truth be told, I find the setting much more appealing than the plot itself. I mean, the plot itself is nothing to shake a stick at, but I like the idea of a world that operates on the same logic and rules as an RPG. But since Sword Art Online woefully disappointed me on that regard, maybe DanMachi will be better. And is it?
No, God!
Because, just like Sword Art Online, they decide to eschew their actually intriguing ideas for more hot girls, more sweater meat, and more infuriatingly awkward male protagonists freaking out at points A and B. Why can't there be an anime series that's just a straight-up RPG world without it needing to be all about sexy tail? I mean, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against a blisteringly hot female body, quite the opposite actually, but when that's the main focus over monster battles and magic, I somewhat resent that. Though I guess it's sort of my fault too, since the harem angle of the anime is right there in the title. So let's just move on to those hunks of flesh with those meat balloons attached to them. You know, the characters. Now then, I know it's a little strange for me to be talking about tits so much in a review, but there's really not a lot else to talk about, to be honest. And certainly not in the characters. Which are... well, here they are, I guess. So first up is Bel Cranel, a young adventurer who has all your typical male harem protagonist traits, so he's determined and high-reaching, but shy and awkward around the ladies. He also mostly gets everything handed to him throughout the series, and doesn't have to try it all to become the best there ever was at everything. I'd hesitate to call him a Gary Stu, since he does have his moments of vulnerability, but he always ends up fine in the end, and everybody inexplicably loves him, so that may be more of an accurate description than I initially thought. Still though, Bell is alright. He's middle of the road, never ruffling any of my feathers in any significant way. So let's move on to Hestia, a goddess who descended to the lower world to live among humans and form her own familia. That's where her description ends, because everything else just gets drowned out by her frankly obscenely large nipple backstops. I mean, yeah, Hestia's an energetic and kind lolly, she has the hots for Belle and gets into romantic tiffs with other girls who like Belle, but did you even just hear anything I said? I doubt it, since it's very hard not to focus on her milk monsters. And following Hestia is Eyes Wallenstein, a level 6 adventurer who is the object of Belle's intense affections. Eyes is a quiet and emotionally distant individual who I swear could have been replaced with a stick with water balloons and a wig taped to it and you probably wouldn't notice the change. Eyes, at least to me, is nothing more than an object. She barely has a personality and is pretty much just a skirt for Belle to chase after. And again, I resent that, so I'm not going to talk anymore about her. In fact, other than the few semi-important characters like Lilyruka Arde and Welf Krazo, who join Belle's party, there's really not much to say about any of them. So I'm not going to waste my precious seconds of life on those characters. We're just gonna move on to the good things and just keep watching my expectations plummet like a freshly dropped atom bomb. Okay, let's cut the chit-chat and let's get right into the good things. Man, that was forced. Hey, so guess what makes this series good?
Breasts, boobs, knockers, fun bags, hooters, dirty pillows, milk sacks, tatas, melons, gazongas, flesh pumpkins, sweater meat, nipple backstops, baked buplin, boobly oobly ooblies, 2 moons and a tractor beam.
What? Don't look at me like that. It's true, if you want some nice anime titties, this series has them in spades. I suppose you could always watch hentai to get actual naked boobs, but it probably depends on what mood you're in. But steering away from that continual beating of that particular dead horse, the animation this series has, well, fairly standard nowadays, is admittedly bright and colorful, with some conventional but still visually appealing character designs. And also, when the series stops being about awkward romance and cleavage, it manages to sneak in some cool RPG-style action, which is what I actually came to see in the first place, and it works relatively well, all things considered. Okay, enough. That's quite enough beating around the boobs. I mean, breast. I mean, bush. I mean, boobs. Jesus Christ, I have to apologize. I don't know why I'm carrying on like an unneutered dog in a whorehouse and I just can't get my mind off voluptuous rats. No, maybe talking about this series' bad things will, maybe cool me down a little bit. That or a cold shower. So getting right into the meat of things, you know what pisses me off about this series? The fact that it takes place in an RPG world. Not because it's a bad idea, but because it's a wasted idea. And why is that? Because for every interesting idea about gods interacting with humans, or how people level up, or cool monster battles, there's another stupidly awkward romance scene, or annoying anime trope, or just buckets upon buckets of fan service. Yes, I suppose it's my own fault for going into this harem anime expecting adventure and magic and monsters, but I still feel cheated regardless. Why is it that this idea of RPG anime keeps getting wasted on fucking romance? What is it about this idea that makes people say, oh yeah, let's just throw in some cliche high school anime tropes in there, but with pointy ears and magic instead? That's totally different! What voice was that? But beyond all that, there's absolutely nothing about this series that screams, watch me, other than fan service. There's no compelling character interactions, since everyone is so basic and stereotypical. There's only a nebulous overarching story that's too vague to be interesting, and even when you try to become invested in what's going on, the tone is about as solid as liquid diarrhea, meaning it can go from a serious battle into another fucking fan service scene faster than you can blink. Ugh. Really, it's just a middling affair. I mean, there's no one point that really ruffles my feathers more than any other point. Maybe it's the wasted potential, but I just find myself surprisingly hostile towards this series. So let's just move on to my least favorite and favorite episode before I burst one of my many, many aneurysms. So there wasn't any one episode that stood out as being exceptionally bad, but there wasn't any that was exceptionally good either. But I guess if I have to pick one, I would say that Sword Princess Eyes Wallenstein is my least favorite. Oh, and, spoilers in this, if you care at all. In this episode, Bell starts training with Eyes to become a better adventurer, and he continually gets the shit kicked out of him. Yeah, that's about the long and short of it. Nothing of any real significance happens in this episode, and the fan service is quite strong in this one, so I'll pass, thank you very much. Okay then, nearly done. So, I'm just gonna say that my favorite episode is Procession of Monsters, Pass Parade. In this episode, Belle, Lily, and Welf, now a complete party, venture further down into the dungeon, but are caught by a horde of high-level monsters who are passed on to them by another group of adventurers. Belle and the others have to find their way back to safety, or risk being killed in the depths of the dungeon. The reason I prefer this one the most is because it focuses most heavily on the action RPG side of this series, and does manage to be somewhat tense. Overall, it's a fairly good episode, and I'd recommend it. DanMachi is a series that, despite what my predilection for boobs might have you believe, is a series that does not interest me at all. But does that mean it's a bad series? Well, not really, not necessarily. I mean, to be completely fair, it's a relatively harmless experience, and if you like those harem tropes and anime stereotypes, then hell, you might actually get a lot more enjoyment out of this than I did. But for me, personally, this is one big booby buffet that I don't think I'm gonna be able to keep down. I give DanMachi. One and a half eyes out of 5. So, Dungeon ni Deai wo Motomeru no wa Machigatteiru Darou ka. Is it watchable? Well, it's conventionally good. I mean, it does have visually appealing designs and animation, so I'd say yes. Is it enjoyable? Well, as I've repeatedly said ad nauseum, if you like boobs and fan service, then you might get some enjoyment out of it. But for me personally, not so much. Is it memorable? Well, to be honest, when I was trying to write the script for this episode, I could barely remember a thing about it other than, So, I'm gonna have to say no, but that all just comes down to personal preference. And, what does that say to you? Well, it says to me that I'm a dirty, filthy dog and I need to get my mind off of those dirty pillows, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but... Jesus. That'll do it. Want to stay up to date with all the latest EyeofSol news? You can follow me on Twitter as well as on Facebook at twitter.com/EyeofSol299 and facebook.com/EyeofSol. I update them every day, so if you want to check out news on the show as well as updates, just follow the links here. Hey everybody, thanks for watching my review of DanMachi. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, I would appreciate a like and a share of this video, as well as a subscription to my channel, because I really appreciate that. If you want to check out the previous Sol episodes, you can see the annotations playing on the video right now. Or if you want to check out my various social media sites, you can see my links to my Twitter page and my Facebook page there on the screen for you, as well as in the description. Have an idea for an animated series or movie you want me to comment on? You can leave me a message in the YouTube comments, on any one of my social media sites, or just let me know in any way you can think of to let me know what you want to see, and I will add it to my list. Okay? Thanks again for watching, everybody, and I will see you next week for another movie review.